I thought my dead father's necklace was lost forever. Then my boyfriend's sister walked into dinner wearing it. I whispered, "That's mine." My boyfriend froze. She touched the pendant and said, "He told me you didn't deserve it anymore." For a second, I forgot how to breathe. The restaurant kept moving around me like nothing had happened. My boyfriend's mother was smiling, his brother was reaching for the bread basket, and his sister sat across from me with my necklace resting against her chest. Not a necklace like mine. Mine. The thin gold chain. The small oval blue stone. The tiny scratch on the back of the pendant from when I dropped it on the bathroom tile years ago. The clasp that never sat perfectly flat after I had it repaired. I knew every inch of it because that necklace was the only thing I wore that still made me feel close to my father. He gave it to my mother before I was born, back when they barely had money for rent and cheap groceries. It was not expensive. It was not some giant heirloom that belonged in a safe. It was a simple gold pendant with a blue stone that looked brighter in sunlight and almost gray when the room was dark. After my father died, my mother kept it in a velvet box in her dresser. She gave it to me after college, while we were sitting on the edge of her bed and pretending neither of us was about to cry. She said, "He would have wanted you to wear something of his, not hide everything away." So I wore it. I wore it to job interviews. I wore it when I had to do hard things. I wore it on days when I missed him so badly that even normal errands felt heavy. It became the thing I touched when I needed to remind myself I could get through something. Tyler knew that. He knew the story. He knew why I kept it in a small white dish on my dresser. He knew I took it off before showering, before sleeping, and before cleaning because I was scared of breaking the chain again. He used to call it my brave necklace. The first time he said that, I thought it was sweet. Now I hate that I ever smiled at it. The necklace went missing on a Tuesday night. I remember because nothing else about that day was important. There was no huge fight. No strange warning. No dramatic moment that made me think my life was about to change. I was just getting ready for bed when I glanced at the dresser and saw the dish was empty. At first, I frowned. I checked the floor. Then under the dresser. Then the bathroom counter. Then the little hook near the mirror. I checked my bag even though I knew I hadn't worn it that day. I checked the pockets of the sweater I had worn the day before. Tyler was on the couch, scrolling through his phone. I called out, "Have you seen my necklace?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Which one?" There was no which one. He knew exactly what I meant. My dad's necklace. That made him look up. He said, "No. Did you wear it today?" "I don't think so." "Then you probably put it somewhere weird." "I don't put it somewhere weird." I kept searching while he watched me from the living room. After a few minutes, he got up and helped, but barely. He lifted one couch cushion, checked under a stack of mail, and looked behind the TV stand, which made no sense at all. I said, "Why would it be behind the TV?" He snapped, "I'm trying to help." So I shut up. That was the first small shift. The first moment where I felt guilty for being upset about something that belonged to me. I searched until almost midnight. Tyler got irritated around 11 and said we both had to be up early. I told him I knew that, but I couldn't sleep without finding it. He sighed and said, "Emily, it's a necklace." I turned around so fast he actually leaned back. "It's not just a necklace." "I know," he said, but his voice was already tired. "I just mean it's probably somewhere in the apartment." "Then help me find it." I did. "You checked one cushion." That started an argument. Not a screaming fight, just the kind that leaves little cuts. He said I was spiraling. I said he was acting like I was crazy. He said I always turned one problem into 10. I said he always got annoyed when my feelings became inconvenient. Then he said, "You lose things when you're stressed. You know that." I hated how quickly that got into my head. Because yes, I forget things sometimes. Everyone does. I've left my keys in the fridge while putting groceries away. I've put my phone in a laundry basket. I've misplaced my wallet and found it on the passenger seat 20 minutes later. But this was different. I knew where I put that necklace. Still, after he said it, I started doubting myself. The next day, I searched again. Then again that night. Then again before work. I dumped drawers. I shook blankets. I checked the vacuum canister. I even went through the trash because I had this awful thought that the chain might have fallen into a tissue and gotten thrown away. Tyler came home while I had garbage bags open on the kitchen floor. He stood in the doorway and said, "Are you serious?" My hands smelled like coffee grounds and onion peels. I was embarrassed before he even said anything else. "I have to check." "You're digging through trash now?" "I can wash my hands." "That's not the point." "What is the point?" He rubbed his forehead. "The point is, this is getting unhealthy." I stared at him. He softened his voice and said, "I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't want to watch you do this to yourself." At the time, I thought that was concern. Now I know he was trying to control how long I was allowed to look. For 2 weeks, that necklace became a ghost in our apartment. I checked the same places over and over. I called a diner we had eaten at the weekend before. I called a movie theater even though I hadn't worn the necklace there. I searched my car with a flashlight. I asked my mother if I had accidentally left it at her house. She went quiet when I asked. Then she said, "Honey, are you okay?" That was when I cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just tears sliding down my face while I sat in a grocery store parking lot, feeling ridiculous and heartbroken at the same time. I said, "I think I lost Dad's necklace." My mother didn't blame me. She didn't ask why I hadn't been more careful. She just breathed out slowly and said, "Oh, sweetheart." That made it worse. When I got home, Tyler hugged me. He held me while I cried into his shirt. That is the detail I keep coming back to. He held me. He rubbed my back and said, "Maybe it'll turn up." He kissed my forehead. He ordered takeout so I wouldn't have to cook. And the whole time, he knew. A few days before his sister's birthday dinner, I told him I was thinking of posting in our building group chat to ask if anyone had found a necklace in the laundry room. He immediately said, "Don't do that." I looked at him. Why? Because it's weird. It's weird to ask if anyone found jewelry? It makes us look messy. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He said, "People don't need to know our personal stuff." My missing necklace is not personal stuff. It is when you turn it into a whole emotional announcement. I didn't post in the group chat. I wish I had. Madison's birthday dinner was that weekend. I almost stayed home because I was tired and emotionally drained, but Tyler said, "Please come. She'll make a thing out of it if you don't." Madison was his younger sister. We were friendly in the way people are when they know they have to keep seeing each other. She wasn't openly cruel to me, but she always had a comment ready. If I cooked something, she said, "Wow, Tyler eats vegetables now?" If I wore makeup, she said, "Big night?" If I didn't wear makeup, she asked if I was sick. Tyler always told me she was joking, so I swallowed it because I didn't want to be the girlfriend who caused problems. That night, I wore a black sweater and small earrings. I reached for the necklace out of habit, then remembered the dish was empty. The sadness hit so fast I had to sit on the edge of the bed. Tyler came in and asked, "Ready?" I said, "I still feel weird without it." He looked at me through the mirror. For 1 second, something crossed his face. Then he said, "You look fine." Not beautiful. Not "I'm sorry." Fine. I should have listened to the tight feeling in my stomach. The way he wouldn't hold my eyes for long. The way he seemed impatient, like my grief was delaying his evening. But I got in the car. I went to the dinner. I sat beside him at the table and tried to act normal. Madison arrived 10 minutes late. I saw the necklace before I saw her face. It caught the light when she leaned down to hug her mother. A tiny flash of blue against her skin. My body recognized it before my brain could make sense of it. No. Impossible. Then the truth came all at once. That is mine. The table was full. Tyler's mother, Frances, sat at the head. His brother, Craig, was across from me. A few relatives were there too, plus one of Madison's friends. Everyone started doing the usual birthday noise, hugging, complimenting her dress, asking about gifts. I couldn't move. Tyler leaned toward me and whispered, "What's wrong?" I looked at him. He was already pale. Not confused. Not concerned. Caught. Madison sat across from us. Frances smiled and said, "That necklace is lovely." Madison touched the pendant. Tyler gave it to me. My ears started ringing. I said, "Where did you get that?" My voice was quiet, but everyone near us heard. Madison looked at me like I had asked something rude. "What?" "The necklace." "Where did you get it?" She glanced at Tyler. Tyler said, "Emily." Only my name. A warning. I didn't look away from Madison. She said, "Tyler gave it to me for my birthday." I said, "That's mine." The table changed instantly. The laughter stopped. Craig put his drink down. Frances looked from me to the necklace, then to Tyler. Madison's smile faded, but not all the way. "No, it's not." "Yes, it is." "It can't be." "It was my father's." That made Frances sit up straighter. Madison touched the pendant again, less confidently this time. Then she said the sentence that made everything worse. "He told me you didn't deserve it anymore." The whole table went silent. I looked at Tyler. He said nothing. That silence answered for him. Frances said, "Tyler, what is she talking about?" Tyler muttered, "Can we not do this here?" I said, "No. We're doing it here." His eyes sharpened. Don't start. Something in me went cold. Not wild. Not loud. Just done. I spent 2 weeks looking for that necklace. Madison looked confused now. I said I cried over it. I dug through trash. I called places. I asked my mother if I left it at her house. And you sat beside me knowing where it was. Madison looked at Tyler. I didn't know she was looking for it. That sounded real. Maybe she should have asked more questions. Maybe she wanted to believe the worst about me. But in that moment, I knew she hadn't stolen it from my dresser. He had. I asked, what exactly did he tell you? Madison looked at Tyler again. He said, Madison, don't. That made her angry. She pulled the necklace off so quickly the clasp caught in her hair. Frances reached to help, but Madison waved her away. Madison said, you told me she didn't care about it. Tyler stared at the table. She continued, you said she kept it around to make people feel bad for her. My mouth went dry. Someone at the table whispered, oh my God. Madison looked at me and said, he said you used your dad's death whenever you wanted attention. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Tyler finally said, that's not what I meant. I asked, then what did you mean? He rubbed his face. I meant you attach too much to objects. You make everything heavy. I just stared at him. He said, I forgot to get Madison a gift. I saw the necklace. She likes blue jewelry. I thought I could borrow it and replace it before you noticed. You thought you could replace my father's necklace? I panicked. For 2 weeks. He looked annoyed, like I was being unreasonable by using time against him. I was trying to fix it. You watched me search. I didn't think you'd get that upset. I dug through garbage. I know, and I felt bad. Frances stood up. She didn't yell. She didn't need to. You felt bad, she said, but you let her keep looking? Tyler said, Mom. No. Answer me. He had no answer. Madison slid the necklace across the table toward me. Her face was red, and her eyes were wet. She said, I didn't know it was from your dad. I picked it up. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. The pendant was warm from her skin, and that made me feel sick in a way I can't explain. Like my grief had been handled by people who had no right to touch it. Tyler reached under the table and grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to hurt. Just enough to stop me. He whispered, stop. You're humiliating me. I looked down at his hand. Then I looked at him. You stole from me. His face darkened. I borrowed it. No. You stole it, lied about it, gave it to your sister, and told her I didn't deserve it. Craig said, that's not borrowing. Tyler snapped, stay out of it. Craig leaned back. Hard to stay out of it when you did it at a family dinner. Frances said, Tyler, apologize. He laughed once, cold and embarrassed. Seriously? Yes. Right now. He looked at me with resentment, not regret. I'm sorry you're upset. That kind of apology is worse than silence. I said no. He blinked. No what? No, you don't get to apologize for my reaction. Madison pushed her chair back and stood. I need the bathroom. Then she looked at me and said quietly, you should come too. I don't know why I followed her. Maybe I needed to get away from Tyler. Maybe I wanted to hear the truth without him interrupting. In the restroom, Madison stood by the sink and covered her face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I'm sorry. I leaned against the wall, still holding the necklace. She said, I was mad at you. That surprised me. I thought you looked down on me, she said. I don't. I know that now. Or I think I do. She wiped under her eyes. Tyler told me you thought I was pathetic after my breakup. He said you were tired of me needing attention. He said the necklace was just some old thing you kept around so people would feel sorry for you. I never said that. I know. Did you believe him? She didn't answer right away. That was enough. She said, I wanted to. It made it easier not to like you. It hurt, but at least it was honest. I said, he made us both look stupid. Madison nodded. Then she said, when you asked where I got it, I knew. Knew what? That he looked scared. Not confused. Scared. I looked down at the necklace in my palm. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt hollow. The necklace was back, but the life I thought I had was gone. Madison asked, are you leaving him? The question was so direct I almost answered without thinking. I don't know. But my body knew. I couldn't stay with someone who opened my dresser, took the one thing I had from my father, turned it into a weapon behind my back, and sat beside me while I blamed myself. When we came out of the bathroom, Tyler was waiting near the hallway. He didn't ask if I was okay. He said, we need to go. I said, I'm not getting in a car with you. His face changed. Don't be dramatic. Madison said, Tyler, stop. He looked at her like she had betrayed him. You're taking her side? She said, you gave me stolen jewelry. I said I was going to fix it. How? With a fake one. He stepped closer to me and lowered his voice. Emily, we are not ending 4 years in front of my family. I said, you ended something before I walked into this restaurant. His jaw tightened. Frances came over with her purse in one hand and her phone in the other. She asked me, do you need a ride? Tyler said, Mom, don't. She ignored him. I said, no. I'll call my mother. Tyler gave a bitter little laugh. Great. So now everyone gets to be part of this. I said, you made everyone part of this when you put my necklace on your sister. He didn't answer. I walked outside and called my mother. The second she picked up, I started crying. Not the soft kind. The kind where the words break apart before they reach your mouth. She kept saying, slow down. Tell me where you are. I told her the restaurant. I told her I had the necklace. I told her Tyler had taken it. There was a pause. Then her voice changed into a tone I had never heard from her before. Stay there. I'm coming. I sat on a bench outside the restaurant with my coat pulled around me. Through the window, I could see Tyler arguing with Frances. Madison sat at the table, staring at her plate. The necklace was back in my hand. Somehow, everything felt worse. Because when it was missing, I still had hope. Maybe it was under something. Maybe it would turn up. Maybe I had misplaced it and could laugh about it one day. Now I knew the truth. It had not been lost. It had been taken by someone who slept beside me. My mother arrived faster than I expected. She got out of the car and hugged me so tightly I could barely speak. I tried to explain, but she said, not here. Once we were in the car, I opened my hand and showed her the necklace. I got it back. She glanced at it, then at me. I'm glad, she said. But this isn't about the necklace anymore. I nodded because hearing someone else say it made me feel less insane. On the drive back, Tyler called 3 times. Then he texted, where are you? We need to talk like adults. Then the one that made me laugh through my tears. You embarrass me in front of everyone. My mother asked what happened. I showed her the message. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she said, your father would have hated him. It was the first time she had ever said something like that about anyone I dated. When we reached the apartment, Tyler's car was already there. My mother turned off the engine and asked, do you want me to come in? I said yes. I didn't say it like an adult. I said it like a scared child. Tyler was pacing in the living room when we walked in. The second he saw my mother, he said, are you serious? You brought your mom. My mother said, hello, Tyler. He ignored her and looked at me. This is between us. I said, you made it between your family when you gave my necklace to your sister. His face tightened. I made a mistake. You made a choice. I was embarrassed. About what? I forgot Madison's birthday gift. She's been having a hard time. Everyone expects me to show up for her. I saw the necklace and I thought, you thought stealing from me was easier than buying flowers? It wasn't like that. My mother said, then explain what it was like. Tyler looked at her for the first time. With respect, this isn't your relationship. She said, with respect, that necklace came from my husband. The room went quiet. For a second, I thought shame had finally reached him. Then he said I was going to replace it. My mother gave a small, humorless smile. With what? Another father. He flinched. I went to the bedroom and took out a duffel bag. Tyler followed me. Don't do this tonight. I'm not staying here. So you're moving out over one mistake? I kept pulling clothes from the drawer. He said, Emily. I didn't answer. He stood in the doorway. You know what your problem is? You let grief make you selfish. I stopped. My mother, who was standing behind him in the hallway, said, move. Tyler turned. Excuse me. Move out of the doorway. Something in her voice made him step aside. I looked at him and said, you don't get to talk about my grief after using it to make your sister hate me. He said, I didn't make her hate you. You told her I didn't deserve my own father's necklace. I was angry. At what? He didn't answer. At what, Tyler? He looked at the floor. Then he said, at always coming second. I stared at him. What does that mean? He laughed softly, like I was too stupid to understand. To your dad. To your memories. To some perfect version of a family that isn't even here anymore. That was the ugliest thing he said all night because it was finally honest. For years, I thought Tyler was patient with my grief. I thought he understood that loving someone who died does not take love away from the person beside you. But he didn't see it that way. He saw my father as competition. A memory. A necklace. A story he was tired of hearing. I said, you were jealous of someone who's gone. He said, I was tired of living with it. My mother made a sharp sound behind him, like she had been hit. That was when I stopped crying. Something in me went still. I zipped the duffel bag. Tyler said, "So that's it?" I said, "Yes." He shook his head. "You're going to regret this." Maybe I would. Maybe I would miss him. Maybe I would remember the good parts and wonder if I left too fast. But regret is not proof that a decision is wrong. My mother helped me pack the essentials. Clothes. Laptop. Documents. A few photos. I took the white ceramic dish from the dresser too, even though it was cheap and ordinary. Tyler watched from the living room. At one point, he said, "You're really letting your mom decide this for you?" I said, "She's not deciding. She's helping me leave." He texted all night after I got to my mother's house. At first, apologies. "I'm sorry. I panicked. I swear I never meant to hurt you. I love you." Then blame. "You made my sister cry on her birthday. My mom won't talk to me because of you. You could have handled this privately." Then anger. "For years gone because of jewelry. Unreal." I didn't answer. The next morning, Madison messaged me. I almost didn't open it. She wrote that she was sorry. She said she should have questioned him. She said she had wanted to believe him because it was easier to think I was dramatic than to admit her brother had given her something that wasn't his. That message hurt, but it helped too. Because it confirmed what I was afraid of. Tyler had not just taken the necklace. He had built a story around me. He had made me smaller in other people's eyes so his actions would sound reasonable. He turned my grief into attention-seeking, my attachment into manipulation, and my pain into drama. That was worse than the theft. A few days later, Frances called. I almost didn't answer. But I did. She sounded tired. "I'm sorry, Emily. You don't need to apologize." "I do," she said. "Not because I did it. Because I raised him, and right now I'm wondering what I missed." I didn't know what to say. She told me Tyler had tried to claim I gave him permission to take the necklace. When Madison challenged him, he changed the story and said he thought it was basically shared property because we lived together. Frances said, "I told him shared rent does not mean shared heirlooms." That made me cry again, quietly. She also told me Madison had returned every gift Tyler had given her that night. Even things that were probably actually hers. She said Madison didn't trust any of it anymore. I felt sad about that, but not responsible. Craig sent one message. "For what it's worth, none of us think you overreacted." I screenshotted it because I needed proof on the bad days. And there were bad days. People love to imagine leaving as this clean, powerful moment. Like you pack a bag, shut a door, and suddenly you are free. It didn't feel like that. It felt humiliating. I had to go back for the rest of my things with my mother and my friend Amelia. Tyler wasn't there, but he left a note on the kitchen counter. It said, "I hope someday you realize people matter more than things." I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it and put it in my pocket. Not because I wanted to keep it. Because I wanted to show it to myself whenever I started missing him. People matter more than things. Yes, that was exactly the point. I mattered more than his embarrassment. My grief mattered more than his convenience. My trust mattered more than his last-minute birthday problem. My father's memory mattered more than his need to look generous. He never understood that. Or maybe he did, and that was worse. The mutual friends split the way people always do when they don't want discomfort. Amelia said, "He stole from you and acted like the victim." That's not complicated. Chloe said I should have waited until after dinner and handled it privately. I asked her, "If you saw your dead father's necklace on someone else's neck, would you wait until dessert?" She didn't answer. Adam, one of Tyler's friends, surprised me by calling him out. He said Tyler had been telling people I was unstable and obsessed with the necklace, but once the full story came out, it only made Tyler look worse. That was the quiet karma. No dramatic revenge. No public post. No big punishment. Just truth moving through the same people he had tried to influence. His mother stopped answering him for a while. Madison refused to speak to him unless he apologized without excuses. Craig told him to stop calling theft a mistake. A few friends backed away when they realized he had watched me search for something he had taken. Tyler wanted me to look dramatic. Instead, he looked cruel. 3 weeks after I left, he asked to meet. I said no. Then he asked if he could drop off the rest of my mail. I told him to leave it with my mother. He sent one last message. "I can't believe you're choosing a necklace over us." For the first time, I answered. I wrote, "I'm choosing myself over someone who watched me suffer and stayed silent." Then I blocked him. I still have the necklace. It sits in the same white dish, now on the dresser in my old room at my mother's house. For a while, I couldn't wear it. Every time I touched the chain, I remembered Madison wearing it. I remembered Tyler's face at the table. I remembered him telling his sister I didn't deserve it. But last week, I put it on. I was meeting Amelia for coffee. Nothing important. I got dressed, brushed my hair, and saw the necklace in the dish. For the first time, it didn't feel stained by what he did. It felt like mine again. So I fastened it around my neck. I looked in the mirror and cried a little, but it wasn't panic this time. It was grief. Real grief. The kind that belongs to me. I thought about my father. I thought about my mother placing the necklace in my hand years ago. I thought about all the times I had worn it because I needed to feel brave. Then I thought about that restaurant. About Madison touching the pendant and saying, "He told me you didn't deserve it anymore." Maybe some people still think I should have stayed calm. Maybe they think I should have waited until we got home. Maybe they think 4 years should survive one terrible choice. But I keep coming back to the same truth. He didn't just take my necklace. He took my trust, hid it, watched me search for it, and got angry when I found it in public. So was I wrong for confronting my boyfriend in front of his family and leaving him over my dead father's necklace, or was that the moment I finally saw who he really was?